All right, everyone. We are here in the podcast room at KSTK.
Kind of exciting.
For Michelle on the Money. It's so exciting. And Jeff Sachs.
Am
really.
I the first
You were
official
the
host, guest
Yes.
on the podcast?
Do you want to be the host, too?
I mean, I don't want to be the host.
No, you should
But
be.
I like to talk a lot.
We really should put you on the payroll as much as you come in.
Sign me up. I don't know if you can afford me.
Well, that's probably true. That's probably true. Okay, so there are so many things to talk about retirement wise. You were just on the stream on the KSDK app talking about myths for retirement. I think we can maybe hit some of those.
Sure.
And then I'd also like to talk to you just in general about the market, the economy, some things that you posted on your blog recently, and even the AARP article that I sent you about unretirement. Because I've talked to you about that specifically.
Yep.
So let's talk about some of the myths for retirement, because really this could cost hundreds of thousands of dollars for folks.
Yeah, I think the biggest myth is that people rely on the stock market for too much. We don't need to have a plan. We can just put it in the market. We don't have to worry about what happens. And that's potentially true over the long term. The market will perform. The problem is that a lot of times you need money from your savings in opportune times, when the market is down, or you've taken too much out, or it's going to cause too much taxes. There's so much more that goes into creating retirement income than just a hope and a dream.
Yeah.
Right. I think my kids make fun of me, and I was trying to say it earlier on the stream, but I forgot. And one of my favorite sayings when it comes to retirement planning is a plan with a goal without a plan is just a wish, because you're wishing for it to happen. And if you have a plan and you know where your money is going to come from and how you're going to use it and what the taxes are going to look like, it alleviates a lot of stress.
It does.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I'm on that wish plan right now.
Everybody is until they sit down and do it. I mean, it's pretty amazing when you think about it. Like, what's the goal of retirement? It's obviously it's for a lot of people to stop working. But for me, it's not where can I put your money and how can I grow it? It's how do we make sure that you have enough money to live the life that you want to live? And the biggest concern that people have is, where's my paycheck going to come from? Because when you're working, you show up, you work 9 to 5 or whatever, or in your case, 3 o'clock in the morning till whenever, right? Mm-hmm. And you get paid for that. And when you stop working, it's like, oh my God, where's that money going to come from? And until you figure that out, that is the biggest stress. Mm-hmm. And again, we can't rely on the stock market. We can't necessarily rely on Social Security. We talked about that because it's not going to cover enough. It may cover less in the future. So
really, at the end of the day, when we talked about two myths, like Medicare will cover it, Social Security will cover it. Those are two myths. Just to go out the window, because there's never enough. Right. I mean,
everything is more expensive than you realize. And to tie it into the other one, where you think your expenses are going to go down, they actually don't. Yeah. Right. Like, because our goal is to say, we don't want you to reduce your lifestyle. We don't want you to reduce your spending. Like, if you have a good financial plan that looks at all of it, you should be able to just continue living the life that you've created, because you've worked so hard to get to this point where you can retire. Why would you want to cut your kneecaps off just so that you have enough to last the rest of your life? You want to enjoy it, right? Yeah.
But can you, for example, I look at my life, I have probably a little less than 20 years of work life if I retired at 40 or at 65, right? Yeah. So can I live the life that I live now if I'm just now starting to save?
Maybe. Depends on how much you spend.
What about my wish plan?
Right. No, it does. It depends on how much you spend. So you could spend the next 20 years and save 15 to 20% of everything that you bring in, and through the magic of compounded interest and a little performance in the stock market, you could have a nice nest egg. Mm-hmm. But it's also a matter of saying, what savings do you have, and can we create guaranteed income? Because there are vehicles out there that we use all the time to create a paycheck. Yeah. Not a lot of people have a pension anymore, right?
They don't offer it. I mean, it's very rare.
Right.
That you have I have a pension through our union, but even that, I can't rely on that pension like my dad could rely on his union pension.
Right.
Yeah.
because there's less money going in, there's less people paying, there's less pensions around. So you have to take your savings and create a pension with it. And there are vehicles out there that we use to do that. I like to make sure that you have a baseline of income, right? If you know that you spend $4,000 or $5,000 a month, let's look at all the sources of income, Social Security being one, maybe 30 or 40% of that, and then your savings for the rest of it, and create that baseline of income. Once we've done that, then you can be like, oh my gosh, it's like I'm still working. I know that on the first of every month, I'm going to get a check from somewhere, right? From your savings, from the plans that we've created.
Okay, so one myth was that your expenses will go down in retirement. Meh.
They won't. They'll shift.
Yeah,
they'll shift, right?
Social Security will cover everything. Meh. Yeah. That's a myth. Healthcare costs, like Medicare, is going to cover everything. No, we know that. The other one that you mentioned was the 4%, I guess,
the
rule.
4% rule. Yep.
Explain the 4% rule and why it's a myth.
So that was started 30, 40 years ago. Somebody did a lot of research, and they said, we're going to look at the returns of the stock market over time and say, what has it done? And what is a safe withdrawal rate that we can take out of a stock portfolio and know that it'll last 30 years? Most people are going to spend about 30 years in retirement. So on its face, it sort of makes sense, right? If the stock market over your lifetime returns 7, 8, 9% on average, right? Give you any 10-year period of time, the market will be at or above where it was. So let's say it does 7%. Well, if you pull out 4 and it does 7, that means you should earn 3% in your portfolio. Well, that's not how it works. There's fees that come out that weren't accounted for. There's volatility. There's sequence of return risk. There's just the fact that you might need more than you planned. The biggest one that draws back on the 4% rule is sequence of return. This is a little bit complicated, so I'm going to try and simplify it. Think about it this way. You're taking money out of your savings. So you're kind of digging a little hole, right? And you're hoping that the market will perform and fill that hole back up. Well, if you're digging out at a steady rate and the market drops, so now you have less money,
like
your
COVID
hole all of a sudden got giant, right? And you still have to take out the same percentage. Well, you have less money. You're taking out the same percentage, which means you're technically taking out more percentage than you should. And so that can eat away. On top of that, if you retire, the last couple of years have been great, right? The stock market for the last 3 years, this is the first time it's happened, I think, in a very long time, where the S&P 500 has done more than 20% for 3 years in a row. It's fantastic. And people that have just now started to save or just looking at it now because they're close to retirement might think, gosh, the market's never going to go down. But if you had retired in 2000 or 2005, 2000 is a great example. In 2000, the market was at a high. In 2002, we had the financial crisis or the tech bubble in 2000, 2001, 9/11, then we had 2008. But if you had retired in 2010, the market has gone up for 5 years. And if you have a good 5 years in the beginning of your retirement, as opposed to a bad 5 years, you're talking millions of dollars over that 30-year period.
Yeah.
So sequence of return matters. Again, I think it's important, number one, to have an income, guaranteed income or baseline income to manage the risk that you're taking. We get really good at saving money and putting money in the stock market and letting it grow, and the market's up and it all sounds great. We are not so good at managing that risk as we get into retirement.
I see.
Right?
Yeah. It is interesting, though, because I remember when I first met you, however many, 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, almost during COVID, right?
Yeah, and it was during the height of the pandemic. And one thing that you said was, hey, maybe you don't retire right now. Maybe you take a partial retirement.
Right.
And that's something that we had actually talked about in that AARP article that I sent you, that we were like, okay, which we're both members of AARP, right?
Now I got my letter. I haven't signed up yet.
Oh, no. So
just
from a perspective, there are younger people, like in their 20s, now signing up for AARP because there's no age restriction.
I didn't know that.
Yes, and you get so many. For the $12 a year you pay for your membership, you easily save that money in rental cars, hotels, food, all those things.
And your spouse is free.
I know.
Right?
It's actually
So I'm signing Jill up whether she's ready or not.
Yeah. I mean, so it does kind of hurt when you're like, oh, my AARP magazine or whatever.
Right?
But they do have some really good articles, and one was unretirement.
Yep.
Oh, wait. That I should say that kind of goes along with that last myth. Was it's never too late to save?
That's right.
Never too late.
Yeah.
To save. But the unretirement part.
Yeah, more and more people. I mean, because things are more expensive, the plans aren't what some people don't have a plan, so they rely on Social Security. And as we said, it only counts for 30, maybe 40% of your total retirement. And they say, "Gosh, I need to go back to work." So the first reason people unretire is because they need more money, they didn't save enough, or things are more expensive. And that happens, but more likely than not, what I see in my office with my clients is you get bored, right? I mean, if think about it, you spent 30 years working, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, I don't have to get up in the morning, which sounds great. But then after a week or two or a month of that, you might say, well, what am I going to do? Get up and watch TV?
Yeah, there's only so much that you can do. So much golf that you can do. So many. I mean, you really do need to have a community.
You got to have an idea of what you're going to do when you retire. And that's something that we talk about with our clients too is, okay, what are you going to do? You can't play golf every day. I mean, if I could, I would, but I don't think you can. You don't want to watch TV all day. And there's so much research that basically says that if you have a reason to get out of the house a couple times a week and interact with other humans, you'll live longer, you'll be happier, you'll be more successful in retirement.
Yeah. I mean, you see it. You see it in your parents or, you know, in just the community in general. Okay, so my question is, what is the next topic that we should be hitting in March? Should we be talking about taxes?
I feel like if you haven't done your taxes, we really need to tell you to do your taxes. March is a great time to talk about it.
I haven't done my taxes.
You should do your taxes.
Okay, I know somebody.
You should get them done in March.
Okay.
Don't wait till April, and we should talk about some of the strategies.
Okay.
Because there are some things that you can do even in this year for last year. To help save on taxes.
Put it on the to-do list. I
Right?
gotta get on it because we're past the half point in February, so I should get that done.
Yeah. And if you're a business, you have to get a filing in by March 15th or extend.
Aren't we in tax season all the time now?
It feels
by the
like
way?
it.
Well, okay.
It feels like it.
Yeah.
At least for me.
I have some accountant friends, and they're like, "We're in tax season all the time."
There's depending on what kind of taxes you do, right? If you do corporate taxes, they may be doing some quarterly filings.
Mm-hmm.
Some companies have tax returns, or their end of their fiscal year is in October. Some are in after the summer. It just depends on what kind of business you're in.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so strategies in March.
Let's do tax strategies, and then maybe we'll do something around retirement planning, or we'll find something.
Okay.
Maybe something will pop and they'll lower interest rates, and we can talk about how magical the Federal Reserve is. I don't know.
Federal Reserve. Yeah.
Right?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So in the meantime, people can find you on
SachsFinancial.com, but a lot of people have a hard time spelling my name. So retiresafestl.com.
Okay.
That'll
Thank
get
you.
there.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And next time, I should say we should spend a little time talking about your sourdough.
Oh, we should.
Just a little bit.
We could do a whole podcast on sourdough.
I know.
I've
Your
thought about it.
So good.
Thank you.
People were like going nuts in the
right?
newsroom. Yeah.
I next time I'll bring some.
You promise?
I'll bring 2 loaves next time. I'm actually going home today to make some.
Okay, I cannot wait. Oh, and that didn't you make jalapeno?
Jalapeno cheddar. I've made my favorite one is a croissant loaf, by the way, where you take a stick of butter and you grate it in while you're making it.
I've seen that on TikTok.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. Brown sugar cinnamon is also a crowd pleaser. So.
I mean, seriously, a whole episode of sourdough.
I'll bring some in. Okay. I think the cameras are working.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, because I'm making bricks at my house.
Okay,
Jeff, thank you so much.
Yep.
Really appreciate it.
All right.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.